All right, we're here in round 2. We've got the choice. We'll play first. And yeah, we got all the lands. Don't have any early plays, but we do have the Sage of the Inward Eye, and at the very least, we can play Weave Fate on turn 4, right? Into a turn 5 Warden, ideally. Okay, that's not ideal, but ideal would be draw 2-drop into a 3-drop, into a 4-drop, and then start going to town on our with our 5-drops. But we'll see if that happens. All right, Wind Scout. Certainly acceptable when I'm on the hunt for cheap spells. Two-drop, Sultai Skullkeeper. All right, so we're playing against possibly Sultai. Oh, looks like likely Sultai. Sultai splashing white for something we have not figured out yet, but we will. All right, so I guess we don't have to show him the red mana yet, so we won't, but seems pretty obvious like we're a Jeskai deck. Played a prowess card, we showed him blue-white, which really doesn't lead to any other clan, so likely playing a mountain next turn, but that's okay. So for now, we're just going to take a beating from the Skullkeeper. Next turn, Weave Fate to prowess up, unless we draw a spell I want to play. Culminating into Sage of the Inward Eye at some point for some lifelink. I don't want to hold the Weave Fate to get the lifelink with the Sage if I don't have a spell next turn. If I do have a spell next turn, I'd rather do that into Sage and then Weave Fate, but we'll see if we get that luxury or not. Guess I can F6. Okay, opponent decides to attack. We're not going to block. Post-combat play. Highland game, you got it. All right, no spell, unfortunately, so I guess we'll play a Plains, we'll Weave Fate, and get in for 3, and then pass. So next turn, I think we're just going to go Mountain, Sage of the Inward Eye. Three cards left in our opponent's hand. Taking at least 4 here. Follow-up play is a morph. All right, no land drop, which is good news. Crater's Claws is a decent draw, I would say, considering we're going to Sage of the Inward Eye here, but let's get in with the Wind Scout. This forces him to kill our Sage of the Inward Eye to get the value that he's looking for. If he doesn't, we can just Crater's Claws next turn for him for 5 and then gain 6 life. Alright, so manifested our bomb rare into a manifest spell, interestingly enough. But now we can block whatever he attacks with. That's interesting. We'll block his morph, see what we're getting here. Grimmer Bonkin. Alright. So now we're just going to go Well, what can I do? I can do Battle Priest. I can do... I guess Warden's the best, though, since it can block both his guys. So let's do Tranquil Cove plus Warden, and then pass. And, I mean, Warden, admittedly, maybe get the Creator's Claws back would be better, but... I kind of like it here. And then just swing in. Get back the Weave Fate. I'd rather have that than the Manifest, I think. So next turn, 7 mana. Should let me maybe Creator's Claws something plus Battle Priest, which isn't bad, or Weave Fate plus a 3 or less drop if I draw it. Found his black mana. Alright, now gonna play around Awaken the Bear here. Looks like he's got Become Immense, which is certainly a fine trick. Honestly, might have even been better off playing that on his dude and dealing 8 to us, but then I guess he would have lost his guy, so maybe not. Alright, so now I guess we just do Priest plus Mystic, which I think is fine. And we're not dead to another Become Immense, which is nice, but he needs another land in order to even cast another one, I guess. Block here. Seems fine. No plays. Let's Weave Fate first. Oh, that's a good draw. All right. Let's go ahead and Outlast here. And then we'll write into being for another prowess. Some card choices. I guess Sky Captain's a fine one. It's a nice surprise blocker if I need be. Well, could also do the Student. I guess if he offers a trade, I'd rather do the Student. Because I probably am blocking now that another Become Immense just seems the safest. So let's manifest this guy, which I care less about, and then put the Sky Captain on top. Then let's swing for 4. Pretty much dead to removal plus Become Immense. Still swinging. Okay. Well, I think our opponent is indeed dead. So we'll just claws him. And that should do it. So opponent did have to mulligan that game and still did quite good actually. Had some nice cheap plays. Macedon's card I'm happy my opponent's running because we have a lot of flyers, so I don't really care about Macedon all that much. Become Immense is usually a problematic card to play against. It's pretty good. Could bring in Skullkeeper if I thought he was hyper aggressive. He did have a pretty aggressive start there. So I could bring in my own Sultai Skullkeeper for early trades. It's not a bad idea. Take out the Defiant Strike once again. Defiant Strike's pretty nice to have when you're running 18 lands, just for the cantrip effect, but we're going to be on the draw. Let's play the Skullkeeper over the Strike. Just get another 2-drop blocker. Didn't see any multicolor spells, did we? I don't think so. Not that I can remember. And I don't think we need cancel for whatever his best spell is that he played. Let's just try this again. Yeah. Well, it's certainly a keep. Gonna need a second white source to eventually play light form, but being able to go turn 2 student, turn 3 sage at least is pretty good. So we'll open with the Cove, potentially draw planes, which would be nice. Okay, opponent either is, I don't know, playing multiple drafts or something, but he tanked on that 7-card hand for a really long time, then decided to keep it. Ooh, white source off the top there is pretty excellent, since that's going to let us play a turn 3 light form, which I definitely like. So we go student into light form, into soul summons sage if we find an untapped land, otherwise sage and then soul summons for all the prowess value. Karu Bloodsucker. Alright. I'm willing to go 2 for 2 here, so we're going to go light form, swing for 2. We did get the untapped land, which lets us do Sage plus Soul Summons next turn, which is also pretty nice. What do we manifest? Another student. That's interesting. Actually, that's pretty good. That guy's going to be a... Could actually just do Sage plus... It's actually not that bad. Kind of like the idea of our light form guy. He has 1 less power, but he gains prowess with lifelink and flying. It's debatable. It's debatable. I probably would rather just... Let's do, well, let's swing with our manifest first. We'll leave our other student back. See who's got the Sandblast. It would appear he does not. Now we'll do Sage, and we'll unmanifest this at the end of his turn. Or if he uses like a debilitating injury on it or something, can still save it. But so I'm sacrificing a power to gain a toughness and prowess. Is this better? I guess we'll find out. Ooh, Torrent Elemental's a pretty good one. It does have flying too, which is pretty good. So, guess I still... there's our red mana untapped, so I guess let's go soul summons first. Get our prowess going, see what we draw. Just a land. Then let's go Falconer. Let's swing with these two. Could swing with the Sage for the card draw, but I don't really like it all that much. But this seems like a pretty safe attack. He's going to block our light form, but could double block there. Is he going to do that? Wait, he's taking them both. All right, that one does not make sense, but I appreciate it. So yes, Torrent Elemental is one of the better mythics I think you can get. Tap all creatures defending player controls is pretty insane. I mean, he just basically has to build a board that gets big enough to always... I mean, he can't really comfortably attack me yet. And he is playing more defensive stuff than offensive stuff, which is quite nice. Oof. Milled some pretty good stuff there, but nothing too good ammo-wise for Warden, unfortunately. I mean, Right Into Being is another one I can get back, but I guess I'm still on the hunt for like a Crater's Claws or something, so I can toast this guy, but not quite at 4 power or enough mana to fry that Torrent Elemental just yet. I don't think he can really comfortably attack here, can he? Maybe he can, but I feel like he can't, yeah. Sky Captain's a pretty good one, actually. So I guess we Outlast plus Sky Captain and then pass. Seems correct. Still can't really comfortably attack us, but the Bloodsucker's a pretty big deal with multiple guys to sacrifice and such. And a Highland game. Alright, so he's just building a board to a point where he can get in pretty comfortably with everything. Not a whole lot I can do about that. I guess next turn, depending on what we draw, of course. Oof. That's an issue. So he could get in for 8, but then he can't block all that well. If he gets in for 8, though, still not attacking. Ooh, Sage of the Inward Eye is a pretty good one. Let's swing with... I guess the problem with Sky Captain is I have to buff my Sage. Can't buff anything else. Guess we go Outlast plus Sage of the Inward Eye, pass. What this does is not really let him comfortably attacking with Torrent Elemental still, since I can crash back potentially and gain a bunch of life, especially if I get one more land. I can just Warden plus Soul Summons for all the prowess and Sage of the Inward Eye value. Alright, Lich Lord can bring back some Guess he only has one creature he can bring back, so that is actually fairly nasty, but we need just a land here. Didn't get the land, unfortunately. So, with this, he can crash in for 6, 8, 12, 14, 16, 18. Do that again. 6, 8, 12, 14, 16, 18, 22. Well, that's unfortunate. Yeah, the major glaring issue here is he's got lethal next turn, and he only has one creature he can bring back, so that's unfortunate. It looks like we're actually going to lose against that, which is kind of depressing me right now. And you might be wondering, but he's only got, well, he only has one black source, so at least if he doesn't have a black mana, we don't die. Because what's going to happen is, let me do count again, 6, 8, 12, 14, 16, 18, 22. So if he doesn't have a black mana, he's going to die. I could actually swing with my Jeskai student, just be willing to lose him for that 1 extra health, which makes it so I don't die even if he draws a black mana, which I think is something I do want to do. So I'm going to swing with my Flying Lifelinker and just lose it to a Torrent Elemental, which maybe I actually just swing with a couple things here. Maybe the student plus a Falconer plus a Sky Captain. Let's do that. I actually kind of like that. Because he can't kill our Falconer anyway, and he's definitely crashing in next turn. So we're going to swing with these 3, and then we'll play Warden, bringing back, I guess, right into being, since I can't play either anyway. Alright, I like that plan. So life gain, this dude, Sky Captain, because he's crashing in next turn anyway, but the reason I'm leaving some dudes back is because I want to force him to attack with Torrent Elemental, which is really why Torrent Elemental is such an amazing card. So I guess we'll bring back Light Form now that I think about it. And we'll pass. So now he does not have lethal, which is nice. And even if he has the swamp, he doesn't have lethal. If he has become immense, we are dead. But I can't do anything about that. Alright, he's going for it. So here's hoping he doesn't have become immense, which I think is going to be the only thing that we really have to fear here. I mean, we did the math, so he's dealing 22 to us in attackers, and he needs another black mana in order to do another 2 life loss, which would bring us to 1 life. But if he has become immense, we're just dead. If he doesn't have become immense, we're going to crash back for a pretty good amount of damage. So wait, what? It's interesting. Well, I guess I'm going to take it then. Tygon scheming. Probably just digging for Become Immense, so as long as we gain some life this turn, which we will be doing, we're going to be okay. He didn't put any creatures in his yard either. So he has no creatures in his yard, which is pretty amazing. Alright, let's play Tranquil Cove. Let's do Light Form. Get all the triggers. Get some lifelink going. See what we manifest. Crater's Claws. But I want that card. That would have been a nice one to have, huh? Alright, so what's our attacks? I swing with all my flyers. He blocks Sage of the Inward Eye. He takes at least 6 flying. His blocks aren't that great. Let's say I swing with Team. He blocks Torrent Elemental on Sage. He takes at least 6 flying. He blocks 2/6 on something to kill. Maybe Manifest. Blocks 4/4 on our 2/4 or our 3/3. And then maybe does some other stuff that I'm not overly concerned about. I think I'm just swinging for the fences here. I want just an obscene amount of lifelink, I think. Kind of need to take advantage of the Sage of the Inward Eye lifelink while I still can. Plus, we're dealing a good amount of damage to my opponent, which I think is pretty relevant. Who knows? Maybe he kills the Jeskai Sage. And Mystic should be enough next turn to clean up. I think this was the right choice to attack here. I'm fairly confident. Because he has to do some awkward blocks. And yes, he can randomly get back, you know, whatever he's losing here. So basically we're giving him an extra attacker. But at the same time, I'm not overly concerned about it. I would say we're still very much a good position aggressive-wise. And he certainly can't comfortably attack, so I think we're in pretty good shape, actually, here. I mean, we did just gain a ridiculous amount of life, too, so do have that going for us. Kuru Lichlord, the guys he brings back are pretty unimpressive. It's basically 3 mana to deal an extra 2 damage to us. Torrent Elemental's got to be one of the best cards I can think of that you could get in any limited format. This one in particular, I guess in like something like Zendikar that's lightning fast, Torrent Elemental's extremely powerful effect would be less powerful. But in a format like, I actually can't think of a format where that effect is stronger than Khans. The format that they put Torrent Elemental in has to be the strongest effect where tap all creatures defending player controls. Maybe there's formats that are grindier than this, but of all the limited I've played and recorded, this is definitely the grindiest one. It did get, admittedly, it got less grindy with Fate Reforged, more aggressive, less going to time, which is good because no one really likes grindy stuff. Or maybe some people do, I don't know. I'm not really into grindy stuff, but yeah, for a grindy format, Torrent Elemental's effect is absolutely bonkers. Tap all creatures. Tap all creatures defending player controls. And it's got flying. Wow. So it blocks, and it's a 3/5. Like, what an incredible card this is. And it's got more abilities on top of that. Just really incredible how many things Torrent Elemental has. Okay, opponent did not pay it. He has 3 things he can sacrifice with his Kuru Bloodsucker, but he can only do it 1 at a time. Ooh, Treasure Cruise is good. Paid 1 mana for it too. The old 1 mana draw 3. The old Ancestral Recall is always quite good. He needs more black mana. What did he exile? He's already lost 4 of his other black resources. So he's shown us 5 of his black mana. And this is something I do have to keep at least track of a little bit, since everything he sacks can make me lose 2 and him gain 2. Alright, so he has another flyer, but I don't think that's going to be enough, because he doesn't know about the Mystic of the Hidden Way. Let's just show him that and see if he concedes. All right, got the match, beat a Horde, or a Torrent Elemental rather, so pretty stoked about that. Deck played very well for us, and that was a very satisfying win. So we'll see you in round 3.